Hey everyone, it's Tox from Crits Happen. We are here in the middle of Gen Con 2013. We're at the beautiful and huge Cryptozoic booth. We're here with Ben Stoll, who is the lead designer for PvP on Hex, the new digital trading card MMO game that is coming out through Kickstarter and through Cryptozoic this year. So Ben, first, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate you taking time.
Thank you for being here.
So first thing we wanted to ask you about is this was a wildly successful Kickstarter. You got over $2 million. It seemed to just go from day zero all the way up. It was amazing.
Yep.
So, you know, in a digital world today where everyone is looking for instant gratification and instant access, you have $2 million in the bank on the last day, and you've already showed people a lot of beautiful images, a lot of beautiful demos. Can you talk a little bit about how it's been since the end of the Kickstarter, some of the challenges and successes you've had along the way?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Kickstarter was obviously very exciting for us, but the way we felt at the very end of the Kickstarter was like, you know, this kind of confirmation of, hey, this big idea that we thought was really sweet and believed in. We got a little bit of validation that's like, hey, look, the people are buying it. You know, they also think it's great too. And so. One of the challenges was just like everybody felt this extra need, like we got to make this perfect. You know, everybody's working their butts off, you know, even harder now. And I mean, some of the challenges, it's interesting because, you know, this is a digital Kickstarter product, which is very different than, say, a physical one. So like, there's some things that are nice. There's some like really pretty stuff that we can show people because it's digital, and there's certain things that we kind of get to do ahead of time. Whereas a finished product, if like a board game, the whole thing is just kind of done at the end. But some of the challenges, though, for example, would be like, because there's technical coding type stuff going on, like we can sort of see the end point on the horizon, and we can see the path in front of us as well. But we can only see so far ahead. I mean, we can guesstimate stuff, but like some technical thing could come up that might take longer than is expected. So when it comes to stuff like, you know, people are like, you know, we want a date on when is this thing going to happen, and you know, as like Corey has explained before, sometimes we have to be like, listen, we're sorry, the reason why we're not giving a more specific date is because we don't want to promise you something is going to happen on, you know, this day of this month, because reality is we might need another couple weeks, you know. So that is one of the challenges of being digital.
And you guys are meticulous around wanting to make sure things are right. That's one thing I know from Corey. He always talks about that live the dream moment. And while he does that in all the card games, I'm sure you guys are trying to deliver that from a Hex perspective too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I mean, we want it all to be perfect, and you know, yeah, that living that dream, it's got to be. You actually have to live it. Yep. Exactly right. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now I know you're breaking the mold in some things also. One of the first things that caught my eye was that orcs are actually friendly and dwarves are not so friendly.
Yeah.
So you're changing some archetypes and stereotypes. What are some of the things that you're looking to from Hex to completely break some molds that most people who are fantasy fans may not be used to?
Sure. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, like, of course, we have things like dwarves and orcs, partially because like there's a historical precedence of those races are intriguing and engaging and really sweet, and so.
And they're real, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, we think what's extra engaging, is being like, oh, whoa, dwarves. There's a lot that I love about dwarves, like sweet beards and they're, whatever, and they're kind of brazen and things like that. But also, we do a new take, and so that we did very deliberately want to say, oh, this is cool. And for example, it's actually, to get into it, I mean, the lore and each race's kind of worldview and their perspective on the conflict and the storyline of Hex is actually very unique. It's race to race. So there's 4 races in each faction. Arden and Underworld are the 2 factions. And actually, each race has a very specific, very detailed outline sort of perspective and worldview. So the orcs aren't actually friendly per se, because the Ardent is not just the good guys, but like the Ardent are the people that are more working together. They more believe in like, hey, we have a common goal, let's work with other people to realize it. The Underworld are more just kind of like, hey, we want to do all this kind of destructive, greedy stuff, and all these guys over here are making it hard for us. Oh, they're making it hard for you guys too? Okay, let's do that. I mean, but like, for example, the dwarves specifically aren't actually evil in a sort of like malicious sense. The Venin are. The Venin actually take glee in the misery of other sentient beings. The dwarves actually are just driven by this desire for destruction. So they don't want to blow stuff up because they hate you. They just want to blow stuff up because they want to blow stuff up. And if you're getting in the way of that, you're just, tough. We're going to blow stuff up anyways, So it's very interesting, actually. Each race has a very unique perspective like that.
So it sounds like you guys are building a world. I mean, you're
Yeah.
not just building a game. You're not just building a card AI or TCG AI. You're actually building an entire universe that's going to be able to expand, maybe not initially, but outside of just the digital realm here, or maybe even deeper into the digital realm, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's really exciting. I mean, when I first started working on the game, one of the first things that I did is I read the just gobs and gobs of lore Bible that, you know, the creative guys cooked up, and it's very intriguing and exciting. I mean, there's the story is already planned. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of planned out, and there's a lot of layers. It's not just going to be like, well, the Arden are fighting the underworld, and then next year, oh, they're still fighting each other. It's like, no, there's actually lots of mysterious stuff that we are kind of alluding to, or that we're going to explore much more deeply and figure out, like for example, Hex, the namesake of the game, is this comet that crashed into the planet and brought with it all this new magic, and but people aren't really sure where it came from or what exactly is the nature of that magic, and that's kind of some of the stuff that we'll be exploring in more detail later. And there's other stuff too. It's like, how did all this get here? What's going on? And there's a whole, I mean, the whole thing, as deeply as you can explore this reality, and, you know, why it is the way it is, there's lots of cool stuff planned in store for the future years.
So what I'm hearing is more questions than answers possibly, but still some cool stuff coming at the launch, so that's great. So now I know you're lead for PvP. There's a lot of, just from an overall perspective, a lot of stuff in this game, from PvE and raiding and all that other stuff, but what can you tell us from a PvP style? There are a lot of MMO people who love PvP. There's a lot of TCG players who, you know, play mono-e-mono, one-on-one. What can you tell us about what's going to appeal to a PvP player in this from your development and your standpoint?
Sure. So the PvP is partially where we get to do competitive play. So that's one aspect I'll talk about. And so for the people that are engaging with the game, because it's a very deep, very skill-based game, there's lots of room for mastery. I mean, like, everybody is going to be better at this game after their 10th hour, after their 100th hour, after their 1000th hour. And that's part of what's so fun about a TCG, is it's like, you don't master it in a weekend. You know, you can throw your whole life into it and keep getting better at it. And so PvP, I want to really facilitate that experience. So, like, most kind of personally important to me, and professionally important in a sense, is, you know, I knew that we wanted a really good draft format. I mean, like, Booster Draft is a format that the players really care about. It's very fun. It allows for a lot of creative ownership over what you're doing, but it's also got just infinite replayability and stuff like that. And so making that really deep and nuanced and lots of time to fully explore that was a big thing for me. Of course, we also have constructed formats where you just build your own deck out of your collection and play. So PvP is about providing a fun experience. It can be casual too. I mean, we want people to also be able to you can also just battle with your friends, and it's casual, but even in that setting, there's deep exploration, and there's just a lot to dig your teeth into. So
the big thing I'm hearing from that is not just the most hardcore PvP players are going to be satisfied, but even casual ones who may in other games feel a little intimidated by PvP, they may have a little more accessibility in this.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the awesome things, is just like, coming as someone who's demoed at TCGs to people a lot and things like that, TCGs are kind of intrinsically tend to be complex. One of the nice things about this is, and from demoing it at the con, is it's like the user interface, I mean, and the tutorial we have, I mean, we've really made it a point to make it accessible. And it's like, and you see people come over here, and even almost without explanation, the interface lets you kind of stumble through and start to figure stuff out. It's like, okay, the cards that are highlighted in orange, you can just click those and play them. That means you can play this card. And those little things really make it easier for someone to feel like, oh, okay, I'm figuring out what I'm doing. I'm feeling that sense of mastery and positive reinforcement to get me to keep going, because it's like, people get overwhelmed and they're like, this is too hard for me. I mean, if you ever play games with people, you know, people are intimidated. It's like, I'm not smart enough for this, or this is too hard for me. And it's like, no, you actually are. You just need a little help getting that confidence. And I really think that we've worked that in, you know.
That's awesome. That sounds exciting. Well, I think we should stop talking and start playing and check it out. Okay, cool. So thank you very much for your time, Ben. Absolutely. We're going to go ahead and film some footage here, and we'll show you that. Until we see you next time, though, thanks for watching. Keep rolling those dice, and we hope they're all crits.
Okay. Hey everybody, this is Ben Stoll, and I'm going to be demoing a little Hex for you, kind of talking through some of what I'm doing. So right now we're drawing our opening hand, and we have the ability to pitch this back and draw a hand of one fewer card, so we're doing that because I don't have any resources and I need some to play my cards. Much better, so I'm going to keep this. Okay, he's going first. Alright, so playing a resource. We got this little guy. So the deck that we're playing actually can kind of roll out aggressively or kind of defensively, which is nice about it. So depending on what he's doing, I'm going to see if we're going to try to kind of hold back more or be more aggressive. Okay.
And just so everybody knows, you're playing against the AI here.
I am playing against the AI, yeah. So he's got a 1-2. Our guy's only going to be a 1-1, even with his rage bonus. So he did kind of, our most aggressive troop, he kind of has shut down already. All right, he's coming at us. We're going to take the damage. Definitely not worth blocking with our guy. He is done. So we're gonna get to sneak through some damage this turn, which is gonna be sweet.
I noticed that you're hitting the space bar when you're going through. You're not actually hitting the pass priority, so you have the option of being able to do either.
Absolutely, nice. Yeah. And it is, you know, once you get used to it and you kind of have a feel for it, and you're not too worried about skipping through stuff. The space bar is quite nice. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. So he's kind of got board parity with us in terms of guys. So, but I'm noticing, you know, like I said, in our hand we got these 2 6-drops, these Tyrannosaurus hexes, and these guys are very powerful. His deck, actually, I happen to know, does not have as strong a late game, and so by playing a little defensively, that'll probably end up rewarding us anyways. So he's sending his guys in. So again, given everything I just said, I'm actually going to trade off with his guy here. Even though his guy is a little weaker than my guy, it's still going to be worth it to trade here because I'm happy slowing the game down because we got 2 powerful 6-drops in our hand.
So it's interesting that you can make a deck that's designed to be aggressive,
yeah,
still adaptively play to your opponent's strategy.
Absolutely. And every deck is kind of, I mean, one of the cool things that I like about the card file right now is you have the opportunity to really min-max and totally cash in on a deck that's just dedicated to being super aggressive. You also have the ability to cash in on a deck that's just dedicated to having inevitability and winning the long game. Or, yeah, exactly like this deck, kind of is a little more flexible. You know, we can kind of change our plan as suits what's happening in the game.
So here comes one of the fatties.
Yep, he's going to come out. Yep, we're going to send this guy in. Okay, he's blocking, which we're totally happy to do that because this guy is more powerful overall. And it's going to pave the way for, aforementioned fatty. Oh, and he's got nothing, so we're also going to go ahead and use our charge power, gain 6 health. Again, this is a really nice charge power for staying alive, as it were.
Especially for a deck that may overextend itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we're just coming in.
Man, right now you got control of it, it looks like.
Yep. And yeah, his draw was a little weak, but who's playing a Shadowgrove Witch? That's a fun card. Basically, if we had a troop in our hand, it was going to give it a debuff in our hand, but we didn't.
That's an interesting aspect. So that can actually do something that most TCGs can't do there, right?
Absolutely.
You're affecting stuff in people's hand immediately.
Yeah, totally. I should have mentioned, too, the little guy we played earlier who's glitched out, not in my graveyard, even though I should be. Oh, he called to the Graven.
Yep.
Yeah, well, another digital aspect. He played his card that says return target troop from a graveyard to your hand. He actually stole my troop from my graveyard that he can now play.
Nice.
But that was the Briar Legion, is one of my favorite cards. When you play him, he boosts all your Briar Legions everywhere. So even the Briar Legions in my deck are getting boosted when I play him, and that's one of the cards I've noticed has been really popular demoing the game. People are really tickled by that. It's fun. So we're sending in our dinosaurs, and we'll see how he blocks.
Killer attack bunnies.
Yep, and just to add insult to injury, we're going to give our guy +4/+4, so we have a 10 attack dinosaur, because why not? And he's dead.
Done.
So there you go.
And that seems to be one of the beauties of this, is how quickly you can play a game online, and how, to your point earlier, not only is it accessible, anyone can join in, anyone can jump in and start playing and get a game done quickly, or possibly lengthy if you get into deep strategic combats.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Great. Thanks so much for the demo.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. Yeah.